I'm Liberlita, and today we're talking about the prologue of Wind and Truth. I'm joined by my very special guest, Sam.
Hello.
She currently does not have a YouTube channel right now, but if she's right about this book, she'll brag about it.
You will literally never see me shut up about it.
Yep. If we're gonna be known about anything in the Cosmere fandom, is that when we are correct, we are sore winners. To be, oh, and
Us never.
no. This video and this series as a whole will contain spoilers for every Cosmere book. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then click off now or go to Reddit.
And come back when you're caught up.
Yeah. Alright, so let us begin. So I think a lot of people prior to this chapter coming out and knowing about it, people assumed that Gavilar was going to be the last POV. So, and then I think Brandon confirmed it like way ahead of time because everyone was just like, it's going to be Gavilar. But I thought To Live was.
I remember saying a word to Brandon about that years ago.
Yeah. I thought To Live was very funny. I was expecting To Rule, but the prologue To Live is very nice, and we'll see why it's very amusing. So this chapter starts off with Gavilar in a vision, looking at the 9 Herald blades that were left in the last desolation, and he asks the Stormfather if it truly was the end of the world. I think when I first read the chapter, I forgot that the Gavilar would be speaking to the Stormfather. I didn't think I made the connection between Gavilar having the visions and Gavilar actually like being a proto-bondsmith. Like, I just never made that connection in my head before this chapter, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I had kind of made a point of that a few years ago relating to a different theory, the TN Lightweaver one, and I was like, hey, a lot of our Radiants have siblings who are also going to be, like, Radiants, and then I got pushback for it, so it was fun.
Oh, yeah, very fun. Throughout this chapter, we see that Gavilar is constantly trying to store the oaths. Like, he's just, like, basically, like, he knows that the oaths are somewhere in the Way of Kings, and so he's just trying to, like, just basically say random quotes in hopes that he's saying the words. Which is amusing.
That won't get him anywhere without the intent.
No. Oh, and I found this line really funny. He would try nonetheless. In becoming the most powerful man in the world, Gavilar had often accomplished what others thought impossible. And, like, just throughout this entire chapter, you like, he thinks he's Kelsier. Like, he really thinks he's, like, Kelsier, but he's not. Like, he knows very little about what's actually going on. And, like, he's
got, like, maybe 5% of the information, and he thinks he's got, like, 70.
Like, I think he, like, throughout this chapter, he mentions connection, the physical realm, and he refers to Restares as a planet. So I think that's, like, and he knows people can be from other planets, but we'll get to that.
That is something.
But, like, yeah, so he knows, like, a little bit, but he's, like, nowhere near, like, the level. So
yeah, and that was the most interesting thing that I was looking for when we first got this chapter, is how much did he actually know? How much did he actually have planned? The answer was almost nothing.
Yeah, he does, but at the same time, like, I will still give him all the credit of him just being like, yeah, Thaidakar totally tried to kill me. The drama around these chapters is a little bit funny. What we were talking about. So, a lot of people are thinking that something's up with the Stormfather. And a lot of that came from getting a first draft of this chapter, and then the ending chapter not sounding as much as, like, the Stormfather being fake. but still people are still holding on to it, and like because the storm, and because he is acting weird, like, or at least like not like how we see him in the mainline books.
Yeah, he's just a little more enthusiastic, I guess, or a little more expressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he is acting definitely different than what we're used to, but I don't think that he's a fake.
No, I don't think he's a fake either. I think something's going on, but we'll get to that. And also, just a funny thing is that Gavilar, out of all the blades he can pick up again, he picks up Chanarax, or Chanas, or however you say her name. Like,
Yeah, particular notice to and Chana's blades. I wonder if they'll come back into play later on.
Yeah, I wonder if like that's foreshadowing for something. It's just like a quinky dink. Like, I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah. I put this in my notes. It's interesting how careful Gavilar is throughout this chapter, and it's what's making him fail, because if you look at all the Radiant relationships, like it's not a fake relationship. Like, they're all, no matter the order, very like, at least like try to be open and try to like get those wounds healed, I suppose. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's not there. One fun quote I thought was, he was so tantalizingly close to what all men secretly desired, but only 10 had ever achieved: eternal life and a legacy that spanned a millennia, because you could live to shape it. And I'm just sitting here like, like, that's just another layer of he doesn't quite know what he's getting into. Because I don't think he thinks that Thaidakar is like an off-worlder. So,
no, he doesn't. He doesn't think any of the Ghostbloods are.
And technically, the Heralds aren't from Roshar, except for Ash, at the very least.
Yeah, they're all technically also off-worlders. They're still in the Roshar system, but yeah, technically not.
Stormfather is really on this champion thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a change, and it's actually more in line with Honor and what he had originally wanted, because I think one of the last visions in Way of Kings was Gavilar speaking with Honor and him telling him that he should force the enemy Odium into a contest of champions, and that is likely the only way that they can win.
Yeah, so this was when at some point Dalinar shows up, and he's like trying to get get Gavilar to let him talk to the Parshendi, and like and he's like, no, you'll offend him, and he's like, I won't offend him, but he will. But
oh my gosh.
And Dalinar is trying to figure out his game and whatever he's planning, like if he's planning on conquering the Parshendi, and he doesn't really like this because he likes them. Like, he says he feels a specific kinship, which I found interesting. And there's also,
he also feels trapped.
Probably. And throughout this chapter, you really see that how much Gavilar like is just really sealing his fate. Like, I don't know, because that was kind of the revelation in Words of Radiance when Dalinar realized that he couldn't have saved Was it Words or Oathbringer where he couldn't save Gavilar if he had not drowned?
Oh, I'm not sure which, but I know what you're talking about. And yeah, it is really interesting because, and it's particularly interesting to see how differently the night went according to Gavilar versus Dalinar.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder,
because Dalinar felt immense guilt for a long time, but Gavilar was the one who manipulated him into drinking in the first place.
Yeah, I do wonder what would have changed, because like, yes, Szeth is Szeth, and I don't know how much he could actually have done, but like, at the same time, it's Dalinar with because Shard Blade and a Shard Plate. If he hadn't been drunk that night, he still has skills enough, so he might have not. But Gavilar might not have died if they had both fought together, maybe.
Yeah.
But we don't want to
Certainly would have given him a better chance.
We don't want to tell Dalinar that, because then he'll have a crisis, and then he'll have to realize that his brother is not great. Oh.
Yeah, no, the way that he manipulates him with a rift is diabolical.
That was such a, like, the first time reading this, that was like such a, like, oh my gosh, like, just watching Dalinar get manipulated is just so sad. And like,
yeah.
Oh, so when Gavilar is thinking about when Dalinar approached him on the battlefield and was actually going to kill him for his throne. And
yeah.
And the phrase is that ghost haunted him, and I was like, that's odd, because, like, I get it's prose, but it feels very inner monologue-y, and, like, it feels like shade should have been there, so I wonder if that's deliberate or just a mistake.
That ghost haunted him, yeah.
But speaking of ghosts, soon he's interrupted, and there's a chill in the air, and the Stormfather hisses a warning, and we all know what's coming. We all know what's coming. Good old Thaidakar is there. He's the Lord of Scars is there. He's wrapped in a cloak.
Our favorite boy.
Yeah. He's wrapped in a cloak, tattered at the bottom, and his first thing is, "I was made promises," he said, hood shadowing his face. "I've given you information, Gavilar, of the most valuable nature. In payment, I requested a single man. When will you deliver Restares to me?" And I'm just sitting here like, what is that information? Like, I don't.
What exactly is he supplying to him?
Because that's it. Yes, we get Gavilar and Thaidakar's relationship, but there still feels like so much missing, and I think it's gonna have to be revealed, which is why I'm a strong proponent of the Thaidakar Skycall. But like, because like, what information is Gavilar getting from him? And like, yes, like, Gavilar makes the correct assumption that incorrect assumption that Thaidakar sent someone to kill him. Like, that's correct, but it's not. Like, and so, like, but like, why does he think that? Like, why does he know that that's something that Thaidakar would do? Like, I don't understand.
Probably because he threatens him.
Probably. And
no, I'm wondering what information he did give him, because Gavilar doesn't seem to know anything about Scadrial. He doesn't seem to know anything about Thaidakar. He doesn't seem to know much of any importance. So what did he tell him, and was it true?
What did it, like, and you think maybe, like, about voidlight, or, like, something about, maybe about connection? Like, and how that helped with his tests that he talks about, but, like, how much is that of the certain scholar that we'll talk about later?
Yeah, it sounds like that would be a lot more of him, and it's Thaidakar is not responsible for the voidlight or any of that. But
no.
What was he helping him with?
Yeah. But yeah, Thaidakar basically is like, you're less interested in our bargain and more interested in your own motives. It seems to me that I directed you towards something valuable, and you decided to keep it. It seems like that you play games. It seems that I directed you towards something valuable, and you've decided to keep it. That's interesting. So, is the information something that Thaidakar wants? And that helped Gavilar somehow? Then it would be, well, if Bahadur is trapped, and like that had something to do with the voidlight, like some of the mechanics are similar, maybe? I don't know if
maybe.
I'm just going off. And then Gavilar responds, "It seems to me that you're not in a position to make demands. You need me, so why don't you just keep playing?" Like, and then Thaidakar just sighs. Because he knows, and we know, that Gavilar is not who he thinks he is. And he reveals that his Sion face, he was in his middle years, not the wizened elder he seemed. So, okay.
Oh, he's older than he seems, for sure.
And then Thaidakar says, "Gavilar, take care. You're not immortal yet, but you've begun to play with forces that rip mortals apart by their very axis." That's... Thaidakar's, like, interaction with Gavilar is also a very big mystery. Like, I can't quite pin what he's thinking about. Like, how he sees Gavilar and what he's actually doing with him, besides wanting to get Restares.
Yeah.
Like... But that does sound helpful-ish. Like, he's, like, trying to sound concerned for him, and I don't know how much he actually is. Because I don't think he'd be concerned much about Gavilar. If he knows anything about him, he wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Then he asks Thaidakar, "Do you know what the words are?" Like, and he's like, "No, but he says, "But listen, none of this is what you think it is. Deliver Restares to my agents, and I will help you recover the ancient powers."
Yeah, and then Gavilar says that he's grown beyond that. He really thinks that he's more important than he is, that he knows way more than he does.
Yeah. You can't grow beyond the tide, Gavilar. You just swim with it or get swept away. And he also adds that he doesn't know how much the Ghostbloods actually did in regards to the tide that was coming. Is he talking about Odium?
He might be talking about the Desolation.
Yeah. That's probably more likely.
But if that's the case, the Ghostbloods kind of had a rather important part in that.
That's true. That's quite true. Huh. Does he know that what's going down? What's gonna happen?
He might. It hasn't happened yet. It's happening concurrently, if we're all correct about that.
But like, it's like about to happen. So like that would be interesting if he orchestrated it. That'd be very interesting. We'll see. And then so Thaidakar's cell phone melts away, and his gloves and body and all vanish somehow. Whatever. And Gavilar thinks he's a light weaver, but because he doesn't know anything. And finally, before the spirit leaves, he says, "I know you're meeting with Restares today. Prepare him, then deliver him to my agents for questioning, or else. This is my ultimatum, Gavilar. You would not like to be my enemy," which you really wouldn't. You would not.
No.
Not at all. Ooh, this was interesting. So Gavilar's like, "What was that?" And the Stormfather replies, "Something dangerous. Radiant? No. Similar, but no."
So does he know what Kelsier is then?
He, like, because Autonomy knows about Kelsier and is a very big fan.
Oh yeah, she is.
So, like, I don't know why, like, the Stormfather wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, whatever." But he sees Kelsier as something dangerous. And that's fun.
And he's right.
Yeah. And so Gavilar is trembling, but he's trying to not, because he's like, "I'm too good for this. I'm gonna be a demigod." And he had a destiny and all these sorts of things. And he He thinks about Navani for a moment. Not for the first time, he wondered if Navani could crack this problem. About... which we'll get to. Actually, we'll get to... right now, the sad thing of, like... he reminisce about the good old days.
Because you get Navani,
Yeah.
and she doesn't seem to think that there's any affection there at all anymore. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting to see the other side of that.
Yeah, but he thinks about Ele and Thaddeus, and he considers whether he would tell Ele, Navani, or Thaddeus, and he's like, not Ele or Thaddeus. They would just take it for themselves. Like, no, but like Navani though.
Yeah.
Would she try to take more immortality for herself? Would she even see the value in it? She was so clever, so crafty in some ways. Yet when he spoke of his goals for greater legacy, she got lost in the details, refusing to think of the mountain because she worried about the placement of foothills. I wonder what would have happened if he had told Navani all of this. I don't know how much she would have gone along with it either way. Like, even if they did have a good relationship, I don't know. I think she would see past all the grandeur. I don't think she would mess with Thaidakar, to be honest. But...
you don't think that the woman who helped create anti-light would be messing around with stuff she shouldn't be?
True.
For the sake of knowledge? I feel like she might be kind of interested in all this.
Yeah.
But instead, he cuts her down and she goes and burns a glyph for his death.
Yeah.
So he really, really, like, buried himself that night.
Yeah, he really did. He did. So, after this, we get the not reintroduction, but like we get Restares and the mysterious Shadow Man that is collecting now, but he doesn't believe it because he's like, no, this can't possibly be the Heralds. Like, they're crazy, and plus the Stormfather said that all the Heralds were dead, right? That's... so, yeah.
Yeah, he claims they're all embraced.
Yeah, so I don't know what he can possibly be any of the Heralds. But,
why would he lie about that? To protect them, maybe?
hey. I'm just making sure I didn't skip over the important line. Okay, so... do you have anything about, before Restares starts talking about, Thaidakar, because that'll lead in to the scholar, but, like, do you have anything about the particular conversation between Nail and Gavilar?
Restares is just as twitchy as usual. Founded the Sons of Honor. I think we knew that, though.
Yeah. To recover the ancient oaths and restore the Knight's radiance. And Restares talks about how it's like, it was supposed to, like, he says he wanted honor to return to men, and he wanted to explore what made the radiance grand before everything went wrong. And it's like, which makes me really sad, because, like, I'd be curious to know if, like, you know, Gavilar hadn't been the one that was doing all this, like, how much the Son of Honor could actually, like, been a force for good if, like, they were trying to get the radiance back. But also, Restares is in charge, so that's not very helpful.
Yeah, Restares notably does not want the Voidbringers and the Desolations to return. That's kind of an extreme.
I wonder why. Like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like a big a deal. Like, well, what if the Voidbringers come back? It'll be fine. Gavilar can handle it. And so, after a while, Gavilar is like, what do you know about Thaidakar, and why does he want you, Restares? And Restares says, secrets. That man can't abide anyone having secrets.
Ironic.
Yeah. And then secrets. I've put up with your lies long enough. What's going on? What does Thaidakar want? And Restares says he knows where she's hidden, where her soul is, Ba Ado Mishram. And that they betrayed her. Which...
Yeah.
And
Yeah, why does Thaidakar care about an unmade? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, grander forms, I think. Maybe, but... See... And...
She's so deeply connected to Roshar.
Yeah.
What would that do for him?
I have no idea. Yeah. Maybe we'll
I don't think
learn
we'll find out until Era 3.
We will
Because either what I was
at
thinking
a Skype
he wants
call.
from her doesn't work, or that he doesn't get her.
We will learn with a Skype call. Just... And then Nail confronts him. He's like, what have you done? Like, Gavilar Kurlan, what actions have you taken to achieve your goals? And he's like, you have no idea. And we're like, okay. I'm gonna make sure I didn't skip it. Okay. Yeah, so he says he has no idea what he's done, like, what Nail has no idea what Gavilar has done, and he's basically, he shows the voidlight, I think? Yeah, and Nail is like, you fool!
Yeah, the voidlight sphere.
You are a fool, a terrible fool, charging toward a high storm with a stick, thinking to fight it. What have you done? Where did you get voidlight? And Gavilar smiles. None of them knew of the secret scholar he kept in reserve, a master of all things scientific, a man who was neither Ghostblood nor Son of Honor, a man from another world. And my immediate reaction is, this is absolutely not Hoid. Like, we're not going down there. Like, that's the first of my notes. It's like, this is not Hoid. And my question, and then when I was questioning before we figure out who it is, I was like, okay, Master of Science, and I was like trying to rack my brain, and I did think about some people that we'll get to, but like I was like, it can't be a Shar because he's not a man from another world that Gavilar would conceive of, because he doesn't, because he's like, oh no, like Ghostblood and Son of Honor, those aren't that, so.
What is he doing making voidlight on Roshar? Like,
yeah.
Surely he would have learned his lesson, but apparently not.
No. The little man didn't know Gavilar had become familiar with the Stormfather, who had told him the truth, that the Heralds had long since died and gone to Braze. Well, yeah, meh. Really? Well, his friend can't lie, so it's great.
Yeah, Gavilar's clearly never met a Spren before.
Yeah. So we said this before, but about like what Gavilar knows, and he talks about like he mentions that he's trying to persuade Restares. He says we can move voidlight from the storm to the physical realm, and said like basically like this is progress, and that it was impossible only short few years ago, and it's proof, and the connection can not be severed, and the box is allowed for travel. So basically obviously Restare, at the very least Restares really wants to get off Roshar, and so the next, there's a paragraph where it says, he wasn't certain why Restares was so eager to move light around in Shadespire, which we already covered. Thaidakar wanted this information as well. A way to transport Stormlight and this new voidlight. So, if transferring light is the information that Thaidakar wanted, then is that the information that Gavilar had taken and is like running with it? That would probably make sense. Like, and instead of buying,
I wonder if Restares is thinking he could use the voidlight to sever his connection to the Oath Pact and finally leave.
That'd be interesting.
Like, without killing himself.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like, Thaidakar wants the same thing, just to be able to get off of Scadrial.
Also, Clack mentions Ash, but he doesn't mention Yezrin, so I wonder if he knows that he's there or not. Because he mentions...
I think Ash was the only other Herald that he had noticed at that point, but, well, like, how many of them were there that night? Like, 5 or 6?
There's, at bare minimum, 4, because you have Clack, Nail, Ash, and Yezrin, and then there might be another one with Yasna, so that's 5. What would be the 6th one? Because obviously Channa's not there, which we'll get to. Obviously Tom's not there.
Channa's not there, Tom's not there.
Maybe,
Ishar's not there.
Do you think the Herald that Taravangian knew, do you think she's there at the meeting?
Alaya? Possibly.
Because they say that there's 2 women there, but, like, it's not described as what, who it is, so it could be her. Ooh, I think, my favorite line is coming. My favorite line. So, yeah, he has the conversation with Navani that or at least the beginning of the conversation with Navani, in her chapter, last book. And he talks about how beautiful she is even when angry, staring at him with brilliant eyes, a fiery halo almost seeming to spread around her. Once more he considered, once more he rejected the idea. And this is where I'm a little bit sad that we didn't get more of Gavilar's perspective. Like, I really would have loved to see the entire Navani conversation from his perspective.
Right? I would have loved that, because he said some really cruel things. And not that there's, like, necessarily a good cause for that, but it would have been really interesting to see what he was thinking.
Not to see the justification, because I could perfectly, like, reading that and coming away with the same thing of, like, you're being awful. And even in, like, this scene, like, he's being awful. And so I can come away with that, but I also would love to see the, like, there is some sadness, like, of, like, what is lost, like, the lost love, and then where he finds himself now. If he was going to be God, best to sever attachments. The sun could love the stars, but never as an equal, which perfectly summarizes Gavilar to an absolute T. And I love that line. Like, that's one of my new favorite Brandon lines. Like, it's real good. It's real great.
That's exactly how he saw himself, and that ended up being his downfall. And ironic.
It's the second time that Brandon, I think, has done this, because I think Moash had a thought where I think Moash said, like, he was sure something as he was sure the sun revolved around Roshar. And I was like, But yeah, that's just cool world building things. So, they skip the Navani speaking with her, and he asks about why He asks the Stormfather why Thaidakar is so interested in Baido Mishram, and he explains, she created your parchment by accident. Long ago, just before the Recreants, Mishram tried to rise up and replace Odium, giving the Voidbringers power. Curious, and then? And then she fell. She was too small a being to uphold an entire people. It all came crashing down, and so some brave Radiants trapped Mishram in the gemstone to prevent her from destroying all of Roshar. A side effect created the parchment. That sounds like a lie. Like some brave Radiants. That sounds like a lie to me.
Wasn't it KoWaT, the Herald? Didn't he admit to
I don't know.
trapping her?
Are you thinking about something that happened in Rhythm War or something that happened in future preview chapters?
I think earlier in this one.
No, he just says that he knows where she is.
About betraying her.
Yeah, he does say that we betrayed them.
Yeah, the one we betrayed. So I think he had something to do with it. So not good intentioned Radiant.
Gavilar could just not believe him because, he doesn't, and he doesn't think of that contradicting because it's and KoWaT is saying we failed her. So. Yeah. And then he has a secret about how the Parchment are Voidbringers. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we know one thing.
Well, one incorrect thing, because the humans are Voidbringers. And we learned that.
That's kind of like a back and forth sort of thing. For all intents and purposes, it's both.
Yeah. But so Gavilar looks at his heating fabrial that the scholar Rushu Chris gave him, who was also in Navani's POV chapter, and is probably going to be important, but I don't know why. His copper mine entry is very small, but I think he's going to be important later. So, we'll see.
Yeah, in Navani's chapter, it does mention that he is holding a box with a flower on it, and you know how suspicious we are of flower motif.
Yeah. So, and now he found a way. He's thinking about how he found a way to get void spent through Shadesmar to this world using gemstones and aluminum boxes. I can't say aluminum. Blah. Who would have thought Navani's pet area of study would be useful, and this is all new from the previous chapter, but the first part is, and if that conniving Anna's death with eluded his grasp. So that's the ferrochemist that we see in Eshonai's flashbacks, right? She's talking to Eshonai, and she leaves.
Yeah, that's the same one.
And I looked it up on a random whim, and I saw something interesting, but I can't be bothered to get it out now. But he'd just have to do it without her. He had his scholar, though in truth Gavilar was baffled by the light he was creating, the light that could kill the Voidbringers. How had Vasher made? And I screamed. What do you mean? And I thought this. I was like, okay, the 5 scholars, maybe Vasher? And that just opened a whole can of worms. Why is Vasher working with Gavilar?
Yeah, why is he working with him? Why is he creating voidlight? Why is he experimenting with such things on Roshar? I thought he wanted to be quiet and left alone. Or is he depressed and wanting to be left alone because of these experiments? He seems a little more chill in present day.
Yeah. Why did he stop? Why is he hanging around on sometimes in basically Alethkar, and he was Adolin's swordmaster when he was young, and then he was Bernarin's and technically Kaladin's. Why? That
Oh, I have so many Vasher related questions.
that just like, God, we're gonna have to reread the entire Stormlight, because that just changed the entire like series. Like his involvement is like, what are you doing? I bet the chapter where we get his POV is probably really interesting now.
Oh yeah, I would make more sense why Vivina's chasing after him then.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else about Vasher? Because it's more just baffling.
Many question marks.
Yeah, it's just like baffling. But I suspect that I've been pretty sure that Dalinar is going to need to know what Gavilar was doing and know everything about Gavilar, because I still didn't think he knows about Navani's abuse. Like, she tried to say it twice, and then she just stopped. So I think, like, that is gonna have, like, I think Dalinar is going to have to deal with it, and I think that it's probably gonna be Vasher, because he seems more connected to Gavilar than any other person besides, like, Amaran, but Amaran's not here, so that's...
Why not the Stormfather? He knew all sorts of things that were going on there.
Yeah, but he's not saying anything. He'll probably
But he could.
He'll probably have to confront him
Prompted
too.
at the right time.
Because he'll probably have to confront that too. Yeah.
You know, I want to know what happened to this voidlight sphere.
Yeah. And
It's been floating around there for 7.5 years. Like, what's going on?
did they get it back in Rhythm War? Because Zeth had put it in, like, Shinovar, maybe? Zeth had hid it in, and then when he was turned into turned into custody or whatever, and thrown in a jail cell, he'd given it back and then exploded in Rhythm of War. So.
Oh, maybe. That's sounding kind of vaguely familiar. I'm going off of what is now a 4 years ago reread for all of my Stormlight information and knowledge.
I'm going off of that as well. Probably longer, because I didn't reread the books before Rhythm War, so I'm very low information. So Gavilar goes... I think the next thing is that Gavilar goes to a meeting. Yeah. So soon Amaran arrived with a small collection of people, 2 men and 2 women. One of the men was Amaran's lieutenant, so the other man is Taravangian, which we'll find out later. And then the other 3 were new important recruits invited to the feast, given time exclusively with the king after. And we don't hear anything about the women, but maybe one of the women is a herald, or both of them, because all the heralds decided to come.
I mean, that would track with what else we know about this.
Yeah, because we have 4, probably 5 heralds. There's a sleepless that apparently, like, it's mentioned in Navani's chapter that, like, there's, like, Kremlings around, so there's a sleepless running around. Taravangian's here, Stormfather's here, Thaidakar's here, Vasher might be here, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is here.
Yeah. For some reason. Taravangian and Gavilar have a conversation, and the first time reading this, it surprised me, because we knew that Gavilar tells Taravangian that he has visions from Honor, but, like, I didn't think it was the night he died. Like, I thought, like, at some point they met up with each other. Like, for some reason I imagined Gavilar would go to Carbonth for whatever reason, and he would tell him there. But no, it happened tonight, because of course it did.
This is the most important night in the history of the series, probably.
Yeah, and the next important night will be whatever the prologues are be for Arc 2.
Oh, I'm so excited to see what that'll be. I wonder if we'll be able to kind of tell after this book if it'll be something
Yeah.
so distinct and important that we're like, oh, that's gotta be it.
Yeah. I feel like I would assume like it probably would happen during the time skip, like something that happens during the time skip, but maybe we could see the foreshadowing for it. And I assume a bunch of heralds are just gonna be there for a lot of them for just random reasons, like because like yes, Kalak and Nail, but like Yezrin was just there, Ash just got her spidey sense were tingling, and then the possible other herald was just hired as an assassin. So like a lot of them were just there to be there.
Yeah.
So Gavilar has a conversation with Taravangian. He gets like a little bit of a spark of like, actually like, it's kind of the first connection he really like, true connection he has with people. Like everything feels very fake and forced, and him like having this false sense of bravado, but he finally feels a little bit connected with this little king.
Yeah. Taravangian gives us another death rattle, which is rather interesting.
Yeah. It's the one that we have. I think they repeat. I'm assuming they do. Or it could be come in multiple races, because at least it is in the Way of Kings, but it's they come the Everstorm, the Night of Sorrows. That's in Way of Kings. I think it's like chapter 8 or something. It's really early on. Chapter 4, chapter 8, something like that.
Yeah, I stand before him above the world itself, and he speaks the truth. The desolation is near, the Everstorm, the Night of Sorrows. I did see a rather interesting comment that this happens right now during the conversation, because they're standing over a map of Roshar, and here's another person who finally believes him speaking the truth that the desolations are coming.
Oh. Huh. Yeah. That's interesting. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, credit to whoever on Reddit came up with that, but
Yeah.
and then it would also make sense why Taravangian kind of not freaks out, but has such a reaction to it, because he's like, oh, look at that. Because this is like the night that kicked it all off.
Yeah. And after his conversation with Taravangian, he starts to feel like a little bit more sincere. He says, let the Stormfather see sincerity in Gavilar. Storm suddenly Gavilar felt it, and then he thinks about like maybe like Dalinar should resume his training as a soldier. And well, I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
Then it's briefly mentioned that he has the conversation with Eshonai, and then we skip past through that, and then the assassination begins. And
yeah, that's really the one that seals his fate.
Yeah. Yes, the Stormfather, if you regret choosing me, and he says, I regret the way I treated you. I should have not been so accommodating. It has made you lazy. And Gavilar does not like that, and he's like, you have no reverence for the position you seek, and I feel you are not the champion I need. Maybe I've been wrong all the time. And then he drops the bomb on the Stormfather. He's like, this is true, I do not speak in human ways, but still, if you have become a herald, you would be tortured between returns. Why doesn't this bother you? I will just give in. What? Give in? Give in. Why stay to be tortured and potentially lose my mind? I will give up each time and return immediately. And then he was like, but like, the Voidbringer's in war, and he's like, who cares? And he's like, I'll be the greatest king in the world if I can't die, which reminds me of Lord Ruler.
Yeah.
And he's like, why would I care about stopping war? War is the path to glory, to training our soldiers to recover the Tranquiline halls. My troops should be experienced, don't you think? I don't fear the Voidbringers. Let them stay and fight. If they are reborn, they will never run out of enemies to kill. And, like, we know, like, the Stormfather's like, oh my god. Like, who have I picked? Like, I see my miscalculation. Your entire religious upbringing, created from the lies of the Arihetium and honor's own failings, it's pointed you towards this conclusion. And he's like, wait, the Stormfather isn't pleased? Like, he's been doing everything, and he's like, and the Stormfather just says, those aren't the words, Gavilar. And he just gets so angry. He's like, what do you want? What do you want? He says, you want me to save this planet? Then help me. Tell me what I'm saying wrong. And it's just not how it works. And then a Herald dies. Suddenly,
very interesting.
Suddenly the Stormfather wavered. Lightning pulsed through his shimmering form, filling Gavilar's room with an electric glow. Blue frost of the rugs, pure light reflecting in the glass balcony doors. The Stormfather cried out. A sound like a peal of thunder, agonized. What happened? A herald has died. No, I am not ready. The Oath Pact, no. They must not see. They must not know. And he's like, died? You said they were already dead. You said they were in damnation. And then he realized Stormfather lied to him. And so there was many a speculation. Not really. People immediately concluded that it was Shenna. And this was the first time I had heard the theory that it lines up well, but like this is the first time I had heard the theory that Shallan's mother is a Herald, and she's the one who died.
I had heard the theory before, but not with any real evidence. It was just more of, well, they both have red hair.
Yeah.
But it's quite compelling, actually, with the Talon word of Brandon and then this. I think it's kind of...
So Shallan's mom, like as soon as I saw the theory when this chapter came out, I was like, oh, like Shallan's mom died around this time, and all this thing is like, whoa, okay, like.
The first thing I did was looked up the timeline. And I was like, oh, that was the same year. I was like, oh, yeah.
Weird.
That tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah, so, and we know that it has to be a female Herald, because besides Ash. So, yeah, it tracks. So, let's see.
Isn't she one of the only ones unaccounted for?
I think so. I'd have to look, because I really don't, besides like the ones we already know, I really don't know much about. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think it's all but confirmed at this point.
Yes. Oh yeah, I have to put in the Stormfather acting strange clip and the Shallan's mom clip, which is very funny.
Avichai Gobrin, was Shallan's mom a Herald from the chat?
What would make you ask that?
The chat did. That's why.
Why would they ask that?
I don't know.
The Stormfather said that the Heralds that's impossible.
The Cones of Dunshire says, Stormlight 5 prologue, are we supposed to be getting really weird vibes from the Stormfather, or is this just for lack of editing?
I don't know what you mean, weird. That totally seems like the way the Stormfather always acts and has always.
Because he's like, what do you mean? Gavilar is like, what do you mean a Herald dies? And then the Stormfather calls him the biggest fool of all. An interesting graphic change is that he asks the Stormfather, what are you? And he says, the biggest fool of them all, the Stormfather said, and it's italics, and all of this has been in italics. And then it's his large font comes back, which we usually have.
Mm.
And he says, "Goodbye, Gavilar. I've seen a glimpse of what is coming. I will not prevent it." So he sees what's coming, and he sees the assassination attempt. And okay, Sadeas is an awful person. However, I did like him like being like, "I'm gonna do this for you, bro." Like, he's very awful, but like there's always these like very kind of like interesting lines with him, especially, and like he's a horrible person, but like he's real interesting, and I wish he had lived in Oathbringer just to be like a terrible person, but on our side. But like, that's a story for another day.
Right?
Yeah.
Bit of an unpopular opinion, but one that I agree with.
Yeah. Blood of my fathers, Gavilar thought through the plate locked on his legs. What else did he lie to me about? And that's what I think, like, this whole thing about, like, Gavilar discovering that the Stormfather can lie is, like, foreshadowing that, like, the Stormfather's lying to Dalinar about something that we might not even know about. Like, we might assume it's true. I don't know what it specifically is. And then we get the reveal. Or it could also just be like he's omitting the truth of like he's not telling him about how he was going to bond with Gavilar.
I mean, that's definitely something that he's keeping from them.
Yeah, but like it could be like something I could see it being like something like ramping up, like Dalinar learning about what happened to Gavilar, and then like the final reveal of like what the Stormfather has been lying about. I could see that happening. Just a way of what he could do. And so Gavilar falls, and his first thought is Thaidakar. Only Thaidakar would send an assassin who would do such things. I mean, yeah, but like, no, you're wrong. He gives the lines, "I expected you to come, tell Thaidakar he's too late," and Zeth is like, "I don't know who that is." He's like, "What?" And the interesting thing is we see this perspective, and he's more talking to the Stormfather. And the Stormfather, going back in his italics, says, "I did not cause this. I do not know whether that brings you peace in your last moments, Gavilar." And then he asks, we hear the lines, "Who?" And he explains the Parshendi, and he's like, "That makes no sense." And the Stormfather said, this is my failure as much as yours. If I try again, I will do differently. I thought your family." And Gavilar is just struggling with the fact that he's dying. He thought he was gonna live forever, but he's not. And in some of his final moments, he says, "I've invited the enemy back. The end is coming, and my family, my kingdom, will be destroyed without a fight unless..." And so he takes out the spear and has the conversation with Zeth. And at first he's trying to give it to the Stormfather, and he's like, "No." And but Zeth takes it because he's not really aware that how much Zeth is actually there. Like he's kind of, because he's like, he's dying.
Yeah.
And he says, as Zeth takes the spear, he says, he tries to get the Stormfather to tell Dalinar, and he's like, "No, not him. I'm sorry, Gavilar. I made the mistake once. I will never trust your family again." And well, here we are.
He kind of had no other choice, I would assume.
Yeah, he was forced in this situation. And there's some Elokar slander.
Yeah.
He's like, "Can't trust his son with that," which I find just rude and disrespectful. You texted me this about Yasta being his successor, which I found interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier in the chapter when he's talking to Amaram and like trying to push him towards Yasna. And he just makes mention, I think I can't remember if he actually tells him or if he's just thinking it in his head that he would like Amram to be king after him. His son can't be trusted with it, which can only mean that he wants to give it to Yasna and then in turn to Amram.
I think, like, it was, ironically, it's kind of like a Azula thing. If you, like, he's, like, kind of giving it to placate him. So he's, like, he's on board with it more than, like, I think Ozai was, giving it for, like, as, like, to help him with Amram, to keep Amram on his side. And at that point, he doesn't really care. He's gonna become a god, so, like, what does it matter to him?
Yeah.
But
I wonder if he knows or cares just how much Yasna hates Amram.
yeah, we'd probably have to go back to the Yasna chapter to, like, see what he says to her specifically, because I think he has a conversation with her a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But the final lines of the chapter are: in the end, Gavilar, heir to the Heralds, died, as all men ultimately must alone. And yeah, that was quite an illuminating chapter.
Yeah.
We've known this was coming, like, and this event has been the crux of this entire arc. It is what the war was built on in the first book and part of the second book, and what triggered the Everstorm and basically everything, and just all these things. And it comes to this point, and we learn that Gavilar knew some things, but he assumed he knew a lot more than he did.
Yeah. And it's just been interesting watching the theorizing over the last however many years it's been now about, Gavilar must have had plans.
Yeah.
What did he know? He had discovered this or this or this, and no, he wasn't invested. He didn't know anything that could have saved himself, and he's, like, properly dead.
And you can see how he could have saved himself in a lot of points, or maybe not saved him, because, as we said earlier, like, we don't know if Dalinar not being sober how much it would have helped, but maybe. And, like, maybe not.
Yeah, not telling his plan to Ashona would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
But
maybe getting Navani on board, like, just all these things he could have done, and then you see glimpses of him, like, realizing that he should change, but it comes too late. And yeah, it's quite impressive. The prologues themselves are really well done, and a really great showcasing of how good Brandon is with perspective, because you start off the first prologue, ironically, through the assassin's perspective, being sad for this death, and then as you learn more, you become less sad, and then I think by the end, like, yes, a lot of people are saying, like, he got what he deserved and he's an idiot, and he is, yeah, but, like, at the same time, he died alone, and it is tragic.
Yeah.
And this book is coming out slowly. And I will be covering these chapters, and I may get Sam to join me at some point. Who knows, maybe.
If things start looking well for me, then I will probably join in. But I'm not a very patient person, so I don't do well with waiting week by week.
Yeah, but, like, you'll have me. You have the satisfaction of talking about it with me and all our lovely viewers.
And that will be very fun.
Mm-hmm.
But also consider that I hate that. But you'll keep me up to date if things are looking well.
Yep. And I think that's about it. That's all I have for you today. And remember, there's always another secret.